company, which is the current state. So like maybe for example like League of Legends or Valorant, when you play, you're putting in the money, you get all these nice skins, but end up you can't like sell them to another person where you can get back your money. But whereas in GameFi, not only are you inputting the value from your own pocket, you're able to extract this amount by selling them to other people through marketplaces such as NFTs. So example will be in Axie Infinity, where people earn Smooth Love Potion tokens that they can sell to other players in a marketplace. Then by trading digital assets like land, weapons in the form of NFT to other players. So in this Decentraland, this allows users to trade virtual plots to get money. Yay. So these are the different kinds of gaming. So pay to play would be things like GTA, Rainbow Six, which you need to fork out the initial amount for you to play the games. Whereas free to play is games such as League of Legends or Valorant, where you don't have to fork out money initially to play a game, but you can pay money to get maybe like stuff like ranked RP or stuff to buy new skins. And whereas play to earn is the new meta, where players can spend money to buy the initial NFT so that when they play the game, they get rewards, and these rewards can eventually be turned back into money that they can actually benefit from. So although a large amount of the traditional gaming community is resistant to microtransactions and blockchain adoption in what they see as usurping gaming for fun by introducing a for-profit motive. Last year in 2021, we had over $5 billion in gaming-related NFT trade volume. So this is something that just started last year and is only going to become much bigger going forward. So a brief history would be how did the idea come about? So in 2017, we can trace the origin back to CryptoKitties, which was released by Dapper Labs. So in these CryptoKitties, players can buy, breed, and trade virtual cats of varying genomes and rarity characteristics. So the thing about this is that the game actually had no purpose, but by the end of 2018, they reached a milestone of 1 million cats being bred with a volume of over 3.2 million transactions. So even to the point that at the end of 2017, a single cat was sold for 247 Ethereum, which was 118,000 then. But if you think about Ethereum in the current value, this is millions of dollars. And then to Axie Infinity. So Axie Infinity was the first game that really brought the play to earn concept, where players really make money in proportion to the time and effort they put into the game. So they have this ecosystem where players acquire these digital pets called Axies, which are also bred, raised, and traded, and also battled with other players or teams like Pokemon style, so turn-based games. And this was actually super popular in markets such as Philippines, where to the point where workers, daily workers, who were earning less than the minimum wage there, were playing this game to supplement their daily income. And especially this was the case during the pandemic. So even though over the last few months, the interest in Axie has faded a bit, but it's still, as of March 2022, it has a market cap of about $2.8 billion. So it's extremely big for its size. And this is an example of the current marketplace of Axie Infinity, where they trade digital assets. And as you can see, the daily volume is actually quite significant. And I took this about 2 days ago only. So 400 US dollars. So that's quite a significant amount. Then these are just some examples of how people communicate from the development team to users such as us. So people normally go through their Twitter account. So for gaming related NFTs, you usually hope to find the project has over 100K followers at least, so that you know that it's something that's actually going to succeed or more likely to not be a rug pull. Then when it comes to the Discord channels, so for example here, they list out everything that you can find about the gaming project whether it's especially you can look through it on the white paper and also directly ask the developers questions, and even you can give feedback or ideas you think that can help this project succeed. So this is something that's quite different from the current games that we have, where people complain online, but developers might not really take those players' feedback into account. So now going to what is GameFi's place in crypto. So we have two kinds of people in gaming for the crypto space. So one is the typical crypto user currently. So these are the people who are bringing in the money and are the people that is currently the most likely to play in this space, because they are seeking to earn value and grow their investment that they put into the projects. And whereas the kind of people that GameFi is hoping to bring into crypto is the traditional gamer. So can be the casual player or the hardcore players. So we are trying to bring those people in such that so that you can grow this community and create this giant ecosystem of digital assets as well as economic activity, because of course, like it's like a stock exchange. You're not going to succeed if you don't have enough people in the stock exchange. So this is the same case for gaming. So they're trying to get more players in so that they can improve everything in terms as well as bring added benefits to the crypto space. Because generally within GameFi, when you want to play this play to earn games, you usually need to put in about like for Axie Infinity, you needed to buy the Axies initially before you can actually start to earn money on the game. So currently in the entire gaming market, so you can think of console gaming, PC or mobile, it's about almost $200 billion. So that, just imagine a tiny fraction of that market cap being injected into crypto gaming. So this would bring significant volume and value for the various segments, because when you put in the money into the crypto market, usually from the fiat currency, US dollars or yen or SGD, you need to convert it into some form of crypto coin, whether it's Ethereum or specifically the various gaming tokens. And the act of this alone will bring new significant volume and give a lot of benefits to help a lot of things succeed. So whether it comes from staking of the coins or even all that kinds of stuff, it brings in a lot of players and customers into the market. And then especially currently, since there's a huge, not really, there's a starting trend for Web2, which is our current developers, whether it's Activision, could be Blizzard, or even something as simple as Square Enix. So those kinds of companies that's traditionally the gaming that we know today are starting to move towards Web3 gaming, which is on the blockchain typically. So you might ask why? Why are people moving towards Web3? What is the thing that entices them? So simply put, it's about what the users want, what the gamers want. And usually what the gamers want is transparency in terms of the transactions that they do, and also whether they can get stuff back, as well as how the game is being run. So what's the development? They want to know like whether the developers are taking things seriously and whether they're doing anything unethical. And what the developers want is they want to cut out the intermediaries. So it can be things like the PlayStation Store, Steam, Epic Games, or even the Apple Store. So because all these intermediaries take up a bit of money from both the player and the companies. So by cutting out these intermediaries, every transaction that they do and the initial raising of funds goes directly to the other party, and every transaction on the blockchain, a small amount, maybe like 4.5%, is sent to the developer who created this NFT. So by cutting all these intermediaries, you are increasing the efficiency of the fundraising, as well as ensuring there's a continual flow and continual fundraising of the being given back to the game. So overall, the consensus would be that moving forward, it's more likely for free-to-play games to be the first adopters of this compared to maybe like a GTA, because free-to-play games, they typically need people to spend money on the game. But in this case, through whatever that I mentioned about GameFi, it brings them a new dimension in terms of how they can raise funds, whether it's the initial mints or the continual passive income through the continual transaction fees that they will accumulate over the numerous years going forward. Yeah. So Joseph will go through Kravada, which is a live example of gaming NFT.
Yeah, thanks, Chee Siang. So yeah, I'll be going through Kravada. So yeah, maybe just next slide. Yeah, so Kravada is a play-to-earn game within the AVEX ecosystem. So currently the core gameplay is mainly idle games. So meaning that you just click a button once and then the game sims by itself. So you can think of it very similar to in FIFA, you have the sim, like the sim button. So it's very similar to that. So there are currently two modes of core gameplay. So the first one is mining expedition, and the second one is a looting mission. So both of these are still idle games, and they both utilize that Kravada NFT assets. Yeah. So maybe the next slide. Yeah. So sorry. Hey Chee Siang. Next slide. Okay. Yeah. So basically, Kravada utilizes NFT assets. So you can see there are many classes of crab. So there are 8 classes. And what actually separates like all 8 of these classes is the different types of like battle points and mining points, which basically help to contribute to your winning success, your winning factor when you play the games. Yeah. And then in the next slide, it also shows that these Kravada NFTs have 6 different factions. So like each faction has like a superior perk, a superior reward. So it also helps and like determines your winning chances when you play the games. Yeah. Then the next slide. Yeah. So within this Kravada game, not only are there like NFTs, but there's also tokens. So the first one is Kravada. So the ticker is KRA. So it is basically the governance token of Kravada. Currently the utility isn't very strong. First one is just staking. So you stake your KRA tokens to receive CREM tokens, which are basically a token that you can use to increase the number of teams that you can operate. So your starting limit is 3, and I think it just goes up after that. And then the second one is breeding. So you similar to what Chee Siang explained in the earlier example of Axie Infinity. So for Kravada, you also can breed your crabs, and then you need some KRA tokens as well as the TUS tokens to breed your crabs. Yeah. So the next slide will show on about TUS. Yeah. So TUS is basically treasure under the sea. So it's basically Kravada's in-game currency, similar to SLP in Axie, if you know about it. So its main utility is firstly marketplace fees. So you'll need to buy your Kravada NFTs within the Kravada marketplace itself. So it isn't listed on like OpenSea or any of the other decentralized NFT marketplaces. And then the second one is reinforcement. So what is reinforcement, right? Like when you're playing the game, sometimes the other player has more mining reward, has more battle points than you, and you want to make sure that you win the game. So what you can do is you can pay TUS to rent a Kravada NFT from this thing called a Tavern, and then you can reinforce your teams to increase your chances of winning the game. And and the reason for this is because when you win the game, you will earn more rewards than if you lose the game. Yeah. And then the last one is subnet gas fees, which I'll explain towards the end of the presentation. Yeah. Okay. So like what's the purpose of playing Kravada, right? Like to me right now, like I feel Kravada, the game itself, isn't like really interesting. I wouldn't play it just for the sake of like for fun. But I'm thinking about it more from an ROI perspective. So just now I mentioned about looting and mining. But there are 2 other activities that you can do on Kravada as well. So you can breed, as well as rent it out on the Tavern. Yeah. So the next slide will show about the ROI of breeding. So how you do breeding is, this shows a certain method called the ABCD method. It sounds like kind of like complicated, right? But then like in essence, it's actually pretty simple. So basically you have a bunch of crabs and you just like crossbreed them. And then like the ROI for you to get back your initial investment as of right now is about 44 days. Yeah. And then the next one will show about looting. Yeah. So looting is what happens when you loot, right? Is you're basically so basically someone creates a mine and then I just need to go and loot the person. So basically it's just an idle game. And right now, I think if we are not including gas, looting has basically the highest ROI. Yeah, so it's basically the lowest number of ROI days. So you're basically able to recoup your investment exclusive of like the gas fees that you pay within 29 days. Yeah, and then for mining, so this is inclusive of something called the mining rewards. So it's basically additional booster of rewards. Basically for people to incentivize them to continue to mine, continue to play mines. And then the ROI on that is about mid-tier, I guess. You'll be able to get back your initial investment within about 50 to 60 days. Yeah. And then the last one is on renting. So renting is basically the easiest. You don't have to play the game. All you've got to do is buy the Kravada NFT asset from the marketplace and then just rent it out on the Tavern. So it's literally like passive income. But of course, because there's a lot less effort needed, so the ROI is a lot lower. So you'll get back your initial investment within about 18 to 90 days, provided that there's no price fluctuation in token prices. Yeah. And then lastly is like really the roadmap, right? So what is ahead for Kravada? So in November of last year, they rolled out the game. So it started out with an idle game. And then within the next 2 weeks, Kravada will move from the AVAX mainnet to its own subnet. So subnet is basically like its own blockchain, but still attached to the AVAX mainnet. And then what this will help to do is it will reduce the gas fee significantly, which should help to increase the adoption of the game. And then on top of that, they'll also be having battle game. So right now it's just idle game, right? You're just gonna click a button and you log off from everything. But I think in the next 2 weeks they're gonna launch a battle game, so it's gonna become a lot more interesting and a lot more intuitive for all the players. Yeah. So yeah, that's all I have. Yeah. If you guys have any questions for Chee Siang and I.
So we're opening up the floor to questions. Anyone has any questions?
So, I'm just wondering, like, as a player, like not just for Kravada, but for all the other games out there, like Axie Infinity, Tavern, all this. How do you all decide like which game you want to focus your time on? Is it just purely like you are going to evaluate all the ROI of the different games, or is there other things that you'll look out for as a gamer in these DeFi games?
Cool. I guess I can just answer that question first. Maybe later Chee Siang can explain a bit more. So personally, I'm not really a gamer. Like I've never gamed in my life. Yeah, so I can't really talk about it from like a gamer perspective. But to me right now, GameFi feels like DeFi with extra steps, right? Like in DeFi, you can just yield farm, like you add liquidity to a certain liquidity pair, and then you can just like start earning interest and rewards on it. But then like as I explained just now, like during when you play the Kravada game, you have to still like click on the buttons and then redeem your rewards and then buy your Kravada NFTs. And if you want to breed them, it will take extra steps. So for me, my main focus isn't really on like playing the game, but rather I think about it more from buying the token. So my main time span is not really playing the game, but evaluating whether I should buy the token of the game. So in the case of Kravada and other like tokens or like GameFi tokens, what I really consider is I always look at number one, what is the utility of the token? Yeah, so if there's no strong utility, I will usually pass. the second one I consider is about valuation. So like I know in the bull market, like FDV is a meme. So yeah, but then right now I think a lot of people are considering like more about valuation. So if the FDV is too big, I will also pass. And then I try to look out for any supply unlocks. So usually these coins have vesting schedules. So if there's like any upcoming like token unlocks, you know, particularly if like a VC that is like known to dump tokens, participated in private round, like I will probably try to wait after the token unlock has ended and they dump their tokens, then I'll start to accumulate. Yeah, and last but not least is catalyst. So for me right now, I think it's really just part of the market environment, right? Like and right now I feel that, you know, we're not really trading prices, we're trading attention. So I try to focus on tokens that have very near-term catalysts. Yeah, and my time frame is really very short. So within like 1 week to 2 weeks, I'll be in and out of the token. So I try to focus a lot on catalysts as well. Yeah. So if I think that anything can move the token price within the next like 1 to 2 weeks, I'll long it. If not, I'll just give it a pass. Yeah. And yeah, I feel that a lot of GameFi tokens, like I mean Step N is one example, right? Like the FDV is just inflated and it's just getting a bit too crazy. So yeah, I would just like advise everyone to just be a bit more cautious with that. Yeah.
To add on to Joseph's point, like since he shed light on the token perspective, for me, I'll maybe bring attention to the NFT perspective. So yeah, so earlier I mentioned ideally the Twitter has to at least have over 100,000 followers, and also of course you have to see whether you're able to access the Discord to understand the project, because understanding the project will really give you a lot of light on whether it's something that's a rug pull, because normally in the Discord, when it's a legitimate project, they'll usually dox themselves, which means that they will reveal who they actually are, reveal their names, past history, working experience, everything. And it's up to a lot of discussion within this Discord channel, and you can see the effort, how much effort do they actually put in. Like you can see how active the Discord channel is. And like for Moonzy, in this case, they were, until even today, is extremely active, where there's a lot of dialogue, a lot of announcement, a lot of AMAs with the numerous Discord users in this channel, to the point where Moonzy's Discord channel is on an invite basis. So compared to maybe other projects where the Discord channel is free to open to everyone, because the attention, the hype is very high. So to the point where they had to literally do stuff like raffles or giveaways for people to access the Discord. Usually people do giveaways and raffles to get the whitelist or the NFT itself, but Moonzy does it to access the Discord only. And I feel like if you are thinking about success of a project, I mean, when it comes making a game itself is really difficult. Then you are trying to balance it with a lot of stuff like tokenomics, hype, whether you can get in on the right time. It's something like you really want all the stars to align, but I mean, there have been successes in the past that show that this doesn't always have to necessarily be the case. It can be someone that's very good at crypto, just hiring a third party to create the game. So like CryptoKitties didn't really have a proper game, but they still managed to be extremely successful. So overall, you will want to see like what's the attention like in the game, how legitimate everything is in terms of the information sharing, and lastly your time frame. So like for me, maybe because crypto everything is moving at a very fast pace, so for me it would be maybe in a matter of months, or depends on the project especially. Yeah.
Yeah.
They,
Sorry.
oh,
Yeah, continue.
yeah. No, I find it very interesting because until now I haven't started playing any. I just download some of them and I take a look. But never knew where should I start. And then the Discord channels, it's too active for old people like me. I was just like, what, so many messages, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but I guess like just a follow-up question, like you know, for the case of Joseph, like if you are not even a gamer, then why not just go and buy a token project? You know, you don't even have to play GameFi, like just a normal token project or just a NFT project. Like you don't even have to spend the time on the game. Then what is the, you know, attractiveness of this to you?
Yeah, that's right. Like I'm not a gamer, right? So to be honest, like I don't spend my time on GameFi, like playing the games itself. But sometimes like you need to participate and play the game in order to understand whether, like, especially if it's a long-term hold. I'm currently not really looking to add anything to long-term backs yet. But like if it's a long-term hold, you know, you want to play the game, understand, like, you know, is the game fun, you know, can it attract people, and like playing the game and, you know, investing a little bit of money just to understand from a gamer's perspective. I guess it's kind of important as well if you want to long the token. Yeah. And then I think maybe another question, like a follow-up question that I think some people might have is like, you know, if you want to just long tokens, why not just focus on DeFi? Why even bother about GameFi, right? Yeah, but I think, as Chee Siang explained in the earlier part, like there is a lot more money coming into GameFi. You know, and then I think Chee Siang and I both feel that, you know, the next wave of adoption of crypto will really be gaming, right? For DeFi, we have kind of seen the people who want to get in, you know, they want maybe anchor, you know, to get higher yields than what they get in the bank. But I think the real catalyst moving forward for crypto adoption would probably be gaming, right? And because suddenly, like, gamers are able to have fun and at the same time make a little bit of money. Like I think that is game changing. Yeah, and that's why we are looking at the GameFi space. Yeah.
Do you think of the possibility of the game of earning money in the game becoming like the core goal of players?
Sorry.
Sorry. Do you think of the possibility of earning money as the core goal of the game?
So like correct me if I'm wrong, but like, so you're asking if like the core goal of playing the game is to make money rather than having fun by playing the game?
Yes. Do you think it's possible that these games that most players do that?
Yeah, definitely, for sure. Like that is the main goal of people who are playing games like in the GameFi space right now. But I don't envision it gonna stay this way for like a long time. I think in Q2, Q3, we are probably late Q2, Q3. There are supposed to be some probably not AAA games, but like starting to get close to AAA game standard type of games that are going to come out. And I feel that those games, like the tokenomics, probably will not be like too dilutive, in a sense that you know, their main goal isn't to really like incentivize you to make a full-time income by playing the game, but rather just to, like, you know, maybe give you a little bit of pocket money just by playing the game. And I think the core focus at the end of the day for GameFi to succeed is really that, you know, we have fun games, but at the same time good game economics that will incentivize new users to come aboard. Yeah. Chee Siang, you want to add on?
Yeah, like in reference to this graph on the screen, so the people that are just there for the money, there are people, the pink on the left side, which represent a value net outflow. So this will actually extract money from the project. So I mean, in the short term, if that's what you're looking for, then okay, there's no issue with it. But if you're thinking like maybe 1-2 years, if the project is solely for that, it's very unlikely to succeed, which is why they need the people on the right to help to inject this value inside the project such that there is value to be extracted in the future. So that is why you need the traditional gamers to come in, and so that all these guilds are actually think of it as like a community of players that come together for a common goal to succeed together. I mean, think of it like World of Warcraft. You form guilds to attack the dragon to get the loot, so that you can share all this loot with everyone. So this is what guild do, so that they tackle a game specifically such that they can, for example, they might offer to the game developers, like maybe we can work out arrangement where we can help to game test a lot of the stuff. So yeah, they are not only just game testers, they are players, and they also immediately are able to inject a player base into a game. So this is what a lot of the developers want. So if so it will really give a lot of it might spawn a whole industry, or in a sense like really bring new dimension to the what's the right word, essentially for these for-profit players. You really bring a new dimension to them, as well as be able to help this project succeed in the future. Yeah, I kind of lost my train of thought halfway. Sorry about that, but I hope it answers your question.
Yes.
How is it like
Yes.
the blue people would be spending money and the pink people would be earning money? Maybe that's a bit oversimplified, but is it generally the case? So that's how they sustain the game. Because otherwise, cannot be like all the players just keep earning money, but then there's no value inflow to the company, right?
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question clearly.
Yeah, the first part didn't catch it.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Oh, no. So just to clarify, so it means that like the pink people are the ones who are earning money, then the blue people are the ones who are spending money in the game? I know it's a bit oversimplified, but is that kind of like what you're saying?
Yeah. Okay, wait. Maybe like this might sound a bit contentious or whatever, but like honestly, like right now with the tokenomics, like game economics of like GameFi games, right? Like most of them, like it's a Ponzi, right? You're just hoping that like new people will come in, like yeah, there's no like, yeah, it's not sustainable in like the game economics of most games right now.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, can I jump in as well? Because you mentioned something very interesting.
Yeah.
Like how most of our Ponzi schemes are not real. Like if you were to give a rough estimate, right? Ballpark figure, how many percent or like a ratio would it be like legitimate versus, just hoax?
I won't call them hoax. It's just that the game how to say, the team behind it might be like completely legit, right? Like they produce a proper game, they have a proper roadmap, and they have fulfilled what they said they would. Just that the game design, the economics behind it, is just not sustainable. Yeah. It's not that they're out here to scam people or whatnot. It's just that the economics, like that was designed in the past, is just not sustainable for, it's just not sustainable for like the token price and whatnot. Like, I mean, you can see Axie's like price, right? And the SLP token, like it's down only, right? And there's a reason for that. Is because people are leaving the game, and then you just have like this bunch of backholders who have just like been backholding, and there's no new money coming in. Yeah, and that really hurts the game like game in all aspects. Yeah, and that's why I say like I don't think it's sustainable at this point in time. The team might be all legit and everything, but having said that, I think I'm beginning to see new types of game design and game economics coming into play. I think we have to remind ourselves that, DeFi as a sector only really started in mid of 2020. And then GameFi only really popped off in mid of 2021 with Axie. So to be honest, we're all in the experimental stage. It's only been a few months for GameFi. And yeah, so there, I mean, at the start, there's bound to be like mistakes and problems with the game design, because it is all by trial and error that become better. So yeah, I think it's just a learning stage and learning process of this sector. It's not that everyone is a scammer and whatnot. Yeah. In fact, I would say most protocols that I'll say that you see publicly, I think there's a good number that they are really proper and legit teams. Of course, there'll always be bad apples, right? Yeah, but then I wouldn't classify like everyone is a hoax and all that. It's just that the game design itself seems like a Ponzi in that it's not sustainable. Yeah, not that the creators are like Ponzi scheme creators. Yeah.
So would you say it's more of a problem of, say, education? Because, well, first thing is not a lot of people understand the underlying technology or the economics or tokenomics of how things should be going, things should be organized. And that's why, because you don't have the necessary knowledge or education, no matter, because it's new, no matter how many developers come along, if they don't have the necessary knowledge, they can't be creating a sustainable game.
I think at the start, when something is created, like a new sector is created, like there's bound to be less knowledge and education than when we look back on it in hindsight, right? I think the education is just gonna grow. And I think what is good for these developers is that a lot of them have been they have raised seed rounds from VCs. So like, for example, VCs like Delphi Digital, like they really step in and help these teams craft their tokenomics. So in that aspect, maybe as a GameFi dev, and maybe their core focus is really on creating nice gameplay and having a great game. So and maybe their expertise might not lie in DeFi and tokenomic design. So they will need the help of VCs who are well experienced in DeFi, and then try to bridge that education gap, that knowledge gap in terms of tokenomic design, and then try to improve it for future games. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we will see it soon. Yeah, proper game design that is sustainable. Yeah, maybe it won't replace a full-time income, but it's something that's sustainable, and it'll be good for long-term adoption of GameFi and crypto.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Joseph has mentioned, because I mean, a typical guy can only be like, I mean, a very good game developer might not necessarily be very good at crafting all these tokenomics, which is an expertise that is really needed, because in the essence of the game, a lot of how the game function is also very reliant on the tokenomics because of the player base. The player base are looking to play and enjoy and have a great time while playing the game, but also get a return out of it. So to be able to do this successfully, it's extremely difficult. And like in Joseph's point, a lot of VCs are actually exploring into helping many of these projects. Like in 2018, like CryptoKitties themselves, they also received a sizable investment by a VC around, I think, like tens of millions. I can't recall, but yeah. So there's already a lot of hot action in terms of this space, and like from our perspective, all we can do is to do our best to understand the tokenomics, like whether it makes sense, and also like how it can really, like, we can do the own calculations and see whether by entering the project will we actually make a return, or will we actually make a loss instead. Because there are some games currently where you enter the game even though it's very hyped up, but after playing some time, you're actually wasting your money and losing out, and also whether you can see whether you can really trust the team, whether you think they will like see it as an investment lah, ultimately. Whether you think the teams, the governance is strong enough to help this succeed over the period they are over the investment horizon you're looking at.
Okay, so here's what I'm wondering, or like I'm puzzled about, right? Why is it that the right authority for education is VCs? Why is there no like third party that should be the authority figure? Is it simply because it's a DeFi way?
Hey, sorry, could you repeat your question? Sorry.
Right, because you were mentioning how to improve the education in the sphere, people or VCs are kind of like spearheading this whole teaching the startups that they are funding how to go about the tokenomics. But I'm wondering, like, why is it that, or what makes VCs the ones that have this knowledge, or why are they the ones that people should be listening to?
Okay. So maybe I can kind of like explain the VCs in the crypto space. So a lot of them started off as like normal people, right? Like you and I, who trade crypto and have been in a space since maybe like 2016, 2017. And they have lived through like the different cycles, and as well as they've been through like DeFi, the DeFi summer in 2020. And like as they progress, they kind of can see through like what types of tokenomics will work and what won't work. And why should these VCs what gives these VCs the authority to in some sense like educate or help these teams design their tokenomics, is that these VCs have a lot of expertise in the DeFi space. And DeFi has gone through many different types of tokenomics changes, and as such, I think it gives them at least like they have more knowledge and probably a bigger depth and spectrum of tokenomic design understanding in order to help these new GameFi devs. Yeah. So I think the reason why you see, I think maybe something that can be compared to the TradFi space, or like the non-crypto world, right, is that I don't know, like VCs like helping new startups design a new token, or not token, like rather a new mechanism, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I mean, this is solely because I'm lacking like understanding in this whole sphere as well, right? But I thought, well, my understanding of VCs in the traditional sense is that they bring along connections. Like that's their number one assets. So if you think about VCs, or the way I think about VCs is that they invest in, say, 10 startups, right? 9 of them is not going to earn them money, but that one, they're just banking on that one super high, I don't know, IRR company.
Yes.
That's gonna bring them the entire, say, 80% of the revenue or something like that.
Yeah.
So in a sense, if you talk about, if I take the same assumption to the DeFi space, it means that for DeFi VC, they're going to be doing the same thing. 90% or 99% of the startups they fund is going to fail. And then 1% is going to be like some unicorn or carrying over a huge legacy for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
In that sense, is it right? Well, I mean, the way I think about it is just, is it right for VC to have this knowledge when the whole point of DeFi is decentralization? Everybody gets a chunk of be it finance or knowledge space, it just feels a bit iffy to me that one body have so much knowledge that it's not being shared with the rest of the. It's not in the spirit, I guess, of blockchain.
I guess like I feel it's more on a case by case basis because I mean we inherently have the assumption where the team behind the project doesn't have the expertise and knowledge to craft out a uh, robust and workable tokenomic system. But this might not always be the case because I mean my assumption is because we are still in a very early stage. So a lot of the people that are coming on at the moment is either people who are not necessarily game developers. They are there to just create a project and to get a short-term gains so that they just build up all the hype, all the marketing stuff. They hire a third party to create maybe a simple game. And then after like maybe a period of like 1 year, then they essentially the project dies off. So maybe from that perspective, maybe they are able to craft up a workable tokenomic system that would sustain for that very short period. But I guess my perspective was of maybe someone that's passionate, people who are not necessarily working on big games, but people who are inherently at heart game developers. So from their perspective, maybe they can do a simple, because from their perspective, there hasn't really been any like solid examples that they can reference to. Like there isn't a NFT GameFi project in the past that has been able to create a very good tokenomic system and also a very good game. I mean, look at Axie. It has, yeah, like Joseph mentioned, the Axie's, you can see that the price keeps going down because it's more of a net outflow at the moment. So yeah, so from their perspective, a game developer at heart might need the help of these VCs. And like from your perspective, like you mentioned that the VCs could bring in stuff like connections. So like we have seen a lot of other big NFT projects such as BAYC or have the ability to bring in all these connections. You can see it on Post Malone's music video. It's like all over the place in terms of marketing. So in terms of a lot of collaborations, we're also seeing a lot of GameFi projects collaborating with other NFT projects who in turn can lend a lot of knowledge sharing. And this is, I guess, in the case, it's very NFT space-like in terms of the community aspect. Yeah, so if there weren't a VC being involved, they can only bank on the community aspect to really help them craft out through like as I think in most Discord channels, in most good projects, they usually have a channel for you to give your suggestions as well as feedback, where even though there's significant volume of chatter on a daily basis, I'm guessing that at least someone is more likely to at least read through and understand and communicate with one another about how they can better improve and also release a lot of updates. Because if you list out a white paper and it doesn't make sense, there's a lot of flaws in it, trust me, your community is definitely going to tell you what is wrong with it and maybe like how can you better improve it.
Okay. Yeah, well, Pauline, this I mean, if anyone have other questions, you can ask, because I've got like two more
maybe I
questions.
can probably
Yeah.
give my 2 cents on what's happening in the VC community.
Yes.
Because I probably spoke with, I don't know, 40 VC managers involved in crypto. And then there's the ones like a multi-coins and other stuff. And then there are actually maybe 3 types of VC managers in the space right now. And then one is the very native crypto venture capital. They manage probably about $200 million to the several $billion. Right, and then maybe you've heard of the Pantera, the Polychain, Multicoin, Paradigm, and those guys, or maybe even, and then those are the native crypto managers. Some of them have a very deep knowledge in technology, the blockchain technologies. Investor themselves are sometimes engineers, so they can actually code by themselves. This is one group, maybe probably the most sophisticated group. Right. The other group is the native blockchain or crypto people, but then they're not the institutional level. It's relatively small. Right. And then they themselves may be engineers or maybe the crypto lovers. They can actually participate in the many different projects, especially if the projects are issuing tokens. Right, so they can participate in the token sales, and then the first group, their main target, they can actually do both equity or maybe tokens, two types. Right, second group is mainly tokens. It's very difficult for them to get into equity, which is the equity of the management companies, or maybe the companies that are actually operating some of the crypto projects. Right. Some projects are more the crypto native, right? So they don't really have equity concepts, or maybe some of you probably heard of the DAO, right? And then so this is second group. Then they can manage very small money, maybe a few $1,000,000 to sometimes the smaller than $1 million. The third group is non-crypto native venture capital. They're actually coming to the crypto world, and then it's increasing as well. Right. So for example, maybe Sequoia, you can consider them as a non-crypto native investors. The difference between the first group and second group is the third group may have a lot of money, but then they don't have the industry knowledge. Right. So so they're more like the traditional crypto, the venture capital investors. So I think there are the three types of the VC managers, and then there's somewhere like there's somewhere in between of those three segments.
Okay, that's very interesting. So, so would people go to where the money is or to where the expertise is?
So good projects go to where expertise are. Right, and then the bad project goes to where money is.
Okay.
Right, because the first group of people, or even second group of people, they can actually help the projects. The third group, they cannot help. Right, and then the crypto is a really open, community, right? And the people want to help themselves. Most of the project, they open source, right? If you do a smart contract, it's pretty much open. So, you want to be part of that community. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get into the very good deals.
Right. Okay.
Or sometimes, in case of like a multi-coin, right? They are involved with the project called Solana, which actually help the NFT to to grow massively.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for the very interesting discussion. It's almost 10:30. So just wanted to check anyone has any final questions. Maybe we'll just take one more. Okay, I realize we have one question in the chat. I think we roughly already discussed this. But basically, Chee Siang and Joseph just wanted to ask if you guys have any other things you want to add on about GameFi protocols. So basically, how do you think GameFi protocols can better sustain their token supply and value, given that players opt to cash out their tokens to take profit? So we talked about how it's operating like a bit like a Ponzi scheme, But would you have any suggestions on how they can improve? Or if you don't have an answer, that's also fine, because it's a complicated space.
I think I can just like add on like one small point, which is
Okay.
I think in order to make it all more sustainable, possibly I think the main focus should always be on making the game interesting to play, such that players will be incentivized to play, even if there were not much monetary rewards. And I think the second one that just kind of adds on to this is that in terms of like the token allocation, like probably less should go towards like gaming rewards, yeah, instead of like maybe something like 50% of token allocation going towards like gaming rewards, or maybe something significantly small like 5 to 10%, and then spread out over a longer period of time. Yeah, I think that will make the game tokenomic design a lot more sustainable. Yeah.
I guess maybe to add on, like of course it's important like initially not to release too much supply, because it's easier it's easier to control the supply when you don't give it out too much. Otherwise you have to do stuff like burn mechanism, stuff like that. But in terms of value, I guess it's about how you can bring utilities to the players, like whether your game has any purpose such that players will still want to continue to play the game instead of taking profit, because they see greater value in holding onto the token rather than cashing out. So I guess it depends on what type of game it is. Like maybe if it's something like I guess it is something like World of Warcraft, maybe you might want to have an objective at the end such that players will be more likely to hold on to the tokens rather than cash out lah, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, so basically making the game more interesting to play and to bring more utility to the players, and also controlling the supply of the tokens, such as maybe less tokens to the gaming rewards portion. Okay, thank you. That sounds really interesting. So to be honest, today's session is very insightful, but also very confusing for me. Yeah, but really thankful that both of you are willing to step up and share more about your knowledge about Web3 and specifically GameFi, because I do think that this is a new space that many of us are confused about, and any knowledge sharing in the community is deeply appreciated in the spirit of DeFi, right? So thank you so much, everyone, for coming today. I really enjoyed Chee Siang's and Joseph's sharing. Thank you so much, and have a good night, everyone.